नमस्कार। संसद भवन से मैं प्रदीप शर्मा आप सभी का अभिनंदन करता हूं। महामहिम राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर A.P.J. अब्दुल कलाम अभी अभी यहां पधारने वाले हैं और कुछ ही पलों में वे संसद भवन में केंद्रीय कक्ष में दोनों सदनों को संबोधित करेंगे। नई लोकसभा के गठन के बाद संसद के पहले सत्र को या फिर नए वर्ष के पहले सत्र को महामहिम राष्ट्रपति महोदय संबोधित करते हैं और ये बजट सत्र की शुरुआत भी है। इसी महीने रेल बजट और आम बजट संसद में प्रस्तुत किए जाएंगे। यह है संसद भवन का द्वार संख्या 5, गेट नंबर 5 संसद भवन का, और राष्ट्रपति महोदय यहां पहुंच चुके हैं। उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय भैरव सिंह शेखावत, लोकसभा अध्यक्ष सोमनाथ चटर्जी और साथ ही प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जो यहां राष्ट्रपति महोदय के स्वागत के लिए उपस्थित, उन्होंने स्वागत किया और ये परंपरागत रूप से जो स्वागत किया जाता है राष्ट्रपति महोदय का, घुड़सवार अंगरक्षक राष्ट्रपति महोदय के, और ये बहुत ही खास इसमें जवान शामिल होते हैं जो टैंक चला सकते हैं, जो वायुयान चला सकते हैं, हेलीकॉप्टर उड़ा सकते हैं और हर तरह के काम में दक्ष होते हैं ये अंगरक्षक। राष्ट्रपति महोदय जो आमतौर पर संसद के पहले सत्र को जब लोकसभा का गठन होता है या फिर नए वर्ष के पहले सत्र को संबोधित करते हैं। संविधान के अनुच्छेद 87(1) में उपबंध है कि प्रत्येक सामान्य निर्वाचन के बाद प्रथम सत्र के आरंभ में तथा प्रत्येक वर्ष के प्रथम सत्र के आरंभ में एक साथ समवेत संसद के दोनों सदनों में राष्ट्रपति अभिभाषण करेंगे और संसद को उसके आह्वान के कारण बताएंगे। और यह केंद्रीय कक्ष का वो डोम यानी गुंबद जिसका व्यास 98 फीट है और यह विश्व के शानदार गुंबदों में से एक है। और धीरे धीरे अब राष्ट्रपति महोदय केंद्रीय कक्ष की ओर बढ़ते हुए, और राष्ट्रपति महोदय के साथ हैं उपराष्ट्रपति भैरव सिंह शेखावत, प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह, लोकसभा अध्यक्ष सोमनाथ चटर्जी, साथ ही साथ लोकसभा और राज्यसभा के महासचिव भी राष्ट्रपति महोदय के साथ। और ये एक जो शब्द दिया गया इसके लिए एक शोभा यात्रा के रूप में, क्योंकि लाल गलीचा यहाँ बिछाया जाता है राष्ट्रपति महोदय के स्वागत में, और एक शोभा यात्रा के रूप में केंद्रीय कक्ष की ओर बढ़ते हैं राष्ट्रपति महोदय। और हम अपने दूरदर्शन के सभी दर्शकों को ये बताना चाहेंगे कि जब राष्ट्रपति महोदय अपने स्थान पर पहुंच जाते हैं और स्थान ग्रहण करने वाले होते हैं, ठीक उससे पहले राष्ट्रगान होता है। और ये एक परंपरा है, राष्ट्रपति महोदय के आगमन और उनके प्रस्थान पर राष्ट्रगान होता है। और धीरे धीरे अब एक शोभा यात्रा के रूप में ये बहुत ही खास अवसर होता है, और जो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र है भारत, उसके लिए एक बहुत ही अहम और ख़ास मौका। जैसा कि हम पहले भी बता चुके हैं, लेकिन फिर भी हम अपने दर्शकों को बताना चाहेंगे जो कुछ ही देर पहले दूरदर्शन से इस समय जुड़े हो, कि जब भी नई लोकसभा का गठन होता है या फिर नए वर्ष का पहला सत्र होता है, उसे महामहिम राष्ट्रपति महोदय संबोधित करते हैं और दोनों सदनों को एक साथ जो केंद्रीय कक्ष में इकट्ठा होते हैं, तब राष्ट्रपति महोदय उन्हें संबोधित करते हैं। और जैसा कि हम सभी जानते हैं कि इसी महीने रेल बजट और आम बजट भी प्रस्तुत किया जाएगा।
महामहिम
और इस समय
राष्ट्रपति जी
एक जो मुनादी की जाती है और उसमें पहले दो शब्द रहते हैं माननीय सभासदों, या उन्हें यह भी कहा जाता है कि माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी अब पधार रहे हैं। और ये एक संकेत होता है जब सभी खड़े होकर राष्ट्रपति महोदय का स्वागत करते हैं। और हम अपने दर्शकों को ये भी बताना चाहेंगे कि आज केंद्रीय कक्ष में न सिर्फ यहाँ संसद सदस्य हैं, बल्कि कुछ विदेशी मेहमान भी इस कार्यक्रम में भाग लेने के लिए पधारे हैं। राष्ट्रपति महोदय केंद्रीय कक्ष में पहुंच चुके हैं और अब धीरे धीरे अपने स्थान की ओर बढ़ते हुए सभी का अभिवादन स्वीकार करते हुए और लोकसभा अध्यक्ष सोमनाथ चटर्जी राष्ट्रपति महोदय को अब लेकर उनके स्थान की ओर बढ़ते हुए और कुछ ही देर बाद राष्ट्रपति महोदय दोनों सदनों को संबोधित करेंगे।
Honorable Sri Bairan Singh Shekhawat ji, Honorable Sri Somnath ji, Honorable members, a good morning to all of you. प्यारे दोस्तों, नमस्कार। आज मैं आपको अपना एक अनुभव बताना चाहूँगा। हाल ही में मैं एक दिव्य केंद्र में गया, वहाँ एक काव्य पाठ हो रहा था। मैंने आपके लिए उसका हिंदी अनुवाद तैयार किया है। यह काव्य पाठ राइचसनेस अर्थात सदाचार के बारे में था। इसमें बताया गया है कि कैसे मन के सदा विचार राष्ट्र में व्यवस्था लाते हैं और उससे विश्व में शांति आता है। मैंने सोचा कि अपना भाषण शुरू करने से पहले मैं इसे आपको सुनाऊंगा। सदाचारी व्यक्ति का सर्वस्व निश्चल होता है। निश्चल चरित्र से घर में मेल मिलाप रहता है। घर में मेल मिलाप से देश व्यवस्थित होता है। व्यवस्थित देश से विश्व में शांति आती है। Dear what is the meaning, dear honorable members? It means whenever I say this, normally the people in front of me, young and experienced, they recite, but you are big guns, I can't ask to do that. Where there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. The starting point is the righteousness in the heart. With this beautiful background and with your beautiful minds, now let me begin my address. Honorable members, this is a very special year for our country. We are celebrating the 60th anniversary of our independence. This year, we also observe the 150th anniversary of the First War of Indian Independence and the centenary of Satyagraha. Friends, these are occasions for us to renew our commitment to building a strong, modern, inclusive, secular, and dynamic India. I would like to begin by expressing my sincere condolence for the innocent victims of the dastardly and cynical terrorist attack on Samjhauta Express. Our hearts go out to the families of these innocent people. We should not allow this tragic event to affect our common quest for normalization of relations between India and Pakistan. We meet here today at a time of great optimism about our economic performance and prospects. The last 3 years have recorded an average annual rate of growth of national income of over 8%. By all estimates, we will grow by close to 9% in the current year. This augurs well for the launch of the 11th five-year plan. My government has set a target of attaining an annual growth rate of 9% during the 11th plan period. Given current trends and the general policy direction, this is a feasible proposition. However, economic growth is not an end in itself. It is a means by which we hope to generate more employment, distribute incomes more equitably across the social groups and regions, and liberate the poorest of the poor from the scourge of the poverty, ignorance, and disease. My government recognizes that keeping a check on inflation is an essential element of any strategy for inclusive growth. During the first half of 2006, my government took a number of steps to insulate our people from the fallout of the steep increase and resurgence in global commodity prices. However, in recent months, the rate of inflation has shown an upward trend, as you all know. As the growth and investment accelerate rapidly and incomes rise, there's bound to be rising demand for all products, particularly products of day-to-day consumption. This rise in demand has to be met by a rise in supply, which takes some time to materialize. During the last 8 weeks, my government has taken a number of fiscal and monetary steps to moderate inflation. Besides, a number of steps have been taken to improve supplies of essential commodities. My government will continue to take all necessary steps to ensure that the poor are not adversely affected by inflation. This is our solemn commitment. To sustain the growth process and physically empower the government to address its commitment to inclusive growth, it is essential that our public finances are managed with prudence and wisdom. Fiscal responsibility is not an academic obsession. It is a prudent course of action aimed at ensuring the sustainability of our growth process, ensuring equity, and keeping inflation under check. My government has decided that the goal of the 11th plan would be to ensure that the economic growth is not just faster, but also more inclusive and equitable. The 11th plan strategy will aim at putting the economy on a sustainable, accelerated growth trajectory and creating productive employment opportunities across the country in all sectors of the economy. The approach paper of the 11th five-year plan has identified 9 major challenges facing the economy. These are regaining the agriculture dynamism, changing the employment patterns and generating new jobs, providing essential public services to the poor, increasing the manufacturing competitiveness, developing human resources, building world-class infrastructure, protecting the environment, improving the rehabilitation and resettlement practices, improving the governance. By addressing these challenges, we will address the larger challenges of inclusive growth. Friends, my government is building a new architecture of inclusive growth. This architecture consists of Bharat Nirman, the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, the National Rural Health Mission, the strengthened and expanded Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, the universalization of the midday meal and ICDS program, and the Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission. Considerable progress has been made under each of these flagship programs of the government. Most of the yearly targets have been met for projects undertaken through Bharat Nirman, except in a few states. Programs for rural roads, rural electrification, rural telephony, rural housing, and rural drinking water supply are on the track. States that are lagging behind, especially the less developed parts of the country, have been urged to pay greater attention to implementation issues. The National Rural Health Mission is aimed at to improve the health status of a people through a partnership between the central, state governments, Panchayati Raj institution, and the community in the management of primary health facilities. The mission is focused on improving public health indicators through decentralized district-level planning. About 3.2 lakh village-based accredited women's social health activities have so far been inducted in 18 demographically weaker states. The Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission is under implementation in 63 cities. City development plans have already been prepared for 61 cities, charting out their vision and goals in urban governance and development. These plans also include investment plans with a focus on provision of citywide urban infrastructure services such as water supply, sanitation, drainage, basic services, and social housing to the urban poor. So far, 102 projects for slum improvement and development have been sanctioned. Our cities desperately need major reform of urban governance and improved and democratic functioning of our municipalities. This is being encouraged, and a new draft law to facilitate street vendors is being finalized in consultation with all stakeholders. Each of these programs will generate additional employment, a major focus area of my government. A sustained increase in the rate of investment, which has touched a record level of 34% of GDP, will generate additional employment. The National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, passed by my government, has emerged as a very major program, both for providing a social safety net to the poor as well as for building a rural infrastructure. Over 1.4 crore households have benefited under the scheme operational in 200 districts. Over 500,000 works are under operation under the NREGA in different parts of the country, of which over half is in the area of water conservation and drought proofing, contributing to the rebuilding of the natural resource base. A social safety net of this dimension has never been undertaken in the world. Therefore, it is being observed with great interest. My government is committed to covering the whole country under the NREGA in 5 years from the coming into force of it, and more districts will be taken up in the next year. Mahatma Gandhi's vision of Gram Swaraj was given a legal framework through the efforts of late Sri Rajiv Gandhi. My government is committed to deepening Panchayat Raj and therefore has taken up the task of strengthening decentralized district planning through an integrated plan for removal of the backwardness in 250 districts. The Backward Regions Grant Fund is designed to fill gaps in critical development intervention based on the local assessments. My government attaches the highest importance to the education. As a nation of young people, India will be able to gain from a demographic dividend only if we invest in the capabilities and the intellectual and the emotional development of our children. There has been a quantum leap in the funds allocated for primary and secondary education during the last 3 years. The strengthened Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the midday meal program reaffirm our commitment to the empowerment of our children through education. Under the Kasturiba Gandhi Baliga Vidyalaya scheme, over 2,000 new residential schools at the upper primary level have been sanctioned in the last 3 years for girls belonging to predominantly to SC, ST, OBC and minority communities. The rights of the women and the children and their aspiration are of paramount importance in our march towards an inclusive and equitable society. Keeping in view the constitutional provisions and in order to give greater focus to issues relating to the women and children, an independent Ministry of Women and Child Development has been created. This emphasizes the importance being given to women as equal partners in development. Landmark legislation that ensure women's safety and protecting them from domestic violence have been enacted. Investment in the well-being of children is an investment in the future of the country, as you all know. Eradication of malnutrition is receiving topmost priority, including through a rapid expansion of Anganwadis, whose numbers will reach 1 million soon. At the same time, issues relating to the child protection are high on my government's agenda. The focus of our efforts in higher education is to revitalize the system, expand access, and build a new institution of excellence. My government attaches great importance to increasing access to education for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes, and the socially, educationally backward section among minorities. It is also committed to rewarding hard work and merit among all students. The National Knowledge Commission has submitted its first report, placing emphasis on the need to invest in education at the levels of the knowledge pyramid. My government is committed to revitalizing the vocational and technical education. Several new Indian institutes of science, education and research, Indian Institute of Technology and Indian Institute of Information Technology are proposed to be set up in various parts of the country. New central universities are being set up in the northeastern region. My government is committed to providing food security to the poor and taking future steps to strengthen the public distribution system. Wheat production has been low, but wheat stocks have been replenished in order to control the rise in prices. At the same time, the minimum support prices for wheat and coarse cereals have been suitably enhanced as an incentive for higher production. Timely and appropriate decisions have improved the lot of sugarcane farmers, reducing the sugarcane arrears to an all-time low. for coordinated and focused attention on the issues of dry land and rain-fed farming, the National Rain-Fed Area Authority has been set up to guide policy in this regard. The National Fisheries Development Board has been set up to enhance the productivity of our marine and inland fisheries. The National Horticulture Mission is helping farmers diversify into more income-generating crops. Honorable members are already aware of the steep increase in credit availability for agriculture. The target of doubling credit flow to agriculture and allied activities has been met. A rupees 13,000 crore package for the revival of the cooperative credit structure has also been worked out and is under implementation. To give a thrust to agriculture research and transfer new technologies to the field, a national agriculture innovation project has been approved. Efforts are also on for improving the productivity of the plantation crops like coconut, tea, and coffee, and several new schemes have been formulated. Honorable members, a special package amounting to more than rupees 16,000 crores is being implemented in 31 districts worst affected by farmer suicides. The intervention cover short-term as well as long-term measures and address issues of credit, irrigation facilities, agriculture inputs, and alternative sources of income. An expert group is looking into the problem of agriculture indebtedness and will suggest measures to provide relief to farmers in distress. Taken together, all these initiatives of my government will increase the rate of investment in agriculture, enhance production and productivity growth, increase farmers' income and welfare, and unleash the second green revolution. It is heartening that agriculture growth is 2005-2006 was 6%. However, this needs to be sustained through credible measures which maintain a high rate of investment, bringing new technologies and farming system into use, improve marketing channels, provide better risk management facilities, and generate better returns to our farmers. This my government is committed in doing. Acquisition of agriculture land for industrial development and related purposes and the terms of compensation have become issues of major public concern in our country. On the one hand, there are genuine concerns of farmers regarding acquisition of agricultural land. On the other hand, there is a need to use land to generate employment through industry and related activities. Therefore, issues of humane rehabilitation and the need for fair pricing of agricultural land need to be addressed both in policy and in law. My government is committed to bringing in a new rehabilitation policy which will be backed by amendments in the Land Acquisition Acts wherever necessary. My government recognizes the serious nature of the problem of water availability and water use both in agriculture and in the urban economy. We need a social consensus and water management practices, including participatory irrigation management, a regulated use, conservation of water, timely completion of irrigation projects, and maintenance of the existing project to ensure water availability to farmers, improved groundwater recharge, and rainwater harvesting. My government is committed to developing both the irrigation potential of the country and its hydropower potential. Taking care of our environment and ensuring ecological sustainability of our growth process is a major challenge, nationally as well as globally. The threat of a climate change and the global warming will have adverse consequences for life on our planet and for our development prospects. We need economically affordable, technologically feasible, and socially equitable policies to deal with the challenge of the sustainable development. Drawing on the wisdom of Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "The earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed." The international community must evolve a framework for sustainable development that takes into account the growth aspiration of the developing world. India is committed to promote environmentally sustainable development strategies. A major program for a massive afforestation of degraded forest lands, Green India, is under active consideration of my government. Our wildlife is our invaluable heritage. My government took several corrective steps for sanctuaries on this basis of the recommendation of the Tiger Task Force. A Tiger Conservation Authority has been constituted as well as Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. The government proposes to strengthen activities for environment education and respect for wildlife through the school curriculum. My government recognizes the vital importance of the food processing sector in improving the incomes of the farming community and generating employment in rural areas. The government's Vision 2015 for the sector aims to triple the size of the food sector in the next decade. A National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management is proposed to be set up, with a view to ensuring that our food sector matches up to the best global standards. My government enacted an integrated food law called the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, and the Food Safety Authority is being established shortly. This autonomous authority will set standards and license the manufacture of the food products which are healthy and safe. Honorable members, the focus on inclusive growth has also meant giving special attention to the needs of the weaker section of our society. My government attaches great importance to social justice and to the social, educational, and economic empowerment of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, OBCs, minorities, women, and children. Education empowers by creating capabilities. Hence, my government has extended scholarship to SC, ST students and widened access to higher education for OBCs. To empower the most deprived among the scheduled caste, my government has launched a new self-employment scheme for rehabilitation of manual scavengers scheme. My government has made considerable progress in filling the backlog of unfilled reserved posts for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and committed filling up in the rest. Friends, at this last session, the Parliament enacted a historic bill to provide rights over the land to scheduled tribes and forest dwellers on the land historically in their occupation by classified as forest. This is a path-breaking legislation which will provide security to these sections, prevent their harassment, and enhance their livelihood. We have formulated a national tribal policy addressing the important concerns of the tribal community. My government is committed to the welfare of the minorities, especially the most backward among them. A separate Ministry of Minority Affairs has been created to ensure the focused attention on the welfare of all our minorities. A high-level committee chaired by Justice Rajendra Shachar was appointed to report on the social, economic, and educational status of the Muslim community of India. The report was tabled in Parliament on 30th November 2006 and will be discussed in this session. We will take all measures necessary to ensure that the fruits of development are shared equitably and backward minority groups become active participants and beneficiaries of our growth processes. My government is considering the formulation of a program for those districts and towns that have the highest concentration of minority population. The Prime Minister's new 15-point program for the welfare of the minorities was adopted last year. The program has identified certain important developmental schemes and created a mechanism to ensure that the benefits of these schemes flow equitably to the minority communities also. As certain minority communities continue to remain relatively backward, with a large number of out-of-school children, high dropout rates, and low educational attainments. These require focused intervention. In addition to the existing schemes, my government proposes to introduce comprehensive scholarship scheme from primary to postgraduate level for eligible students belonging to the minorities. My government firmly commits itself to equity and welfare of all sections of the society. Honorable members, to sustain the growth process, we have to ensure energy security. Accelerated economic development and growing demand for commercial energy require a new paradigm of energy security for India. There is urgent need for a national consensus on energy pricing and distribution policies. My government is conscious of the need to augment energy supplies from both conventional and renewable resources. The coal sector will continue to remain the mainstay of the energy security for the country. Therefore, it is imperative that the coal production is substantially increased in the coming years. A number of steps have been taken to achieve this objective. Simultaneously, my government will encourage new investment in power generation. Competitive tariff bids have already been approved for setting up 2 ultra-mega power projects, and further efforts in this direction will continue. The tremendous hydropower potential in the country will also be harnessed with the cooperation and willing support of the state governments concerned. My government has taken important steps to help develop the full potential of civilian nuclear energy and of all sources for renewable energy, both for meeting the energy needs and to address the concerns on environment. Honorable members, my government has placed a great emphasis on building world-class infrastructure in our country. The National Highway Development Program has been greatly expanded with an investment of target of 227,000 crores. The Golden Quadrilateral is nearing completion. Work for construction of the north-south and east-west corridors has also been awarded. The government has also approved 4-laning of around 4,000 kilometers of national highways and 6-laning of 6,500 kilometers of national highways, including the Golden Quadrilateral. My government is implementing the Special Accelerated Road Development Program for the Northeast, keeping in view the urgent need to improve the connectivity of the region. My government has succeeded in ensuring a turnaround of Indian railways. Over the last 30 months, railway freight volumes have grown by 8 to 10%, and growth in passenger volumes has doubled. Container business has been opened up to private business. As a result of improved supply and demand management, rational utilization of capacity, and a market-driven pricing policy, Indian railways are once again on track. It is necessary that this momentum is maintained. For this, modernization and creation of additional infrastructure would be vital. Infrastructure development through public-private partnership will be promoted. There has been an encouraging response to the offer to allow private container trains. Primary work on the proposed dedicated rail freight corridor has begun. The project will provide the necessary infrastructure support for growth in container, coal, and other mineral traffic. This project is proceeding on a fast-track basis, and a special purpose vehicle called the Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited has been formed to implement the project. Friends, the civil aviation sector has witnessed unprecedented growth in recent years. My government has initiated the modernization of major airports in the country and liberalization of air services to cope with the rapidly growing air traffic demand. Investment in airport development is on an upswing. Honorable members, in order to keep pace with our fast increasing share of global trade, my government has taken up a program for massive capacity expansion of a port infrastructure. An Indian Maritime University is proposed to be set up in Chennai with regional campuses at Kolkata, Mumbai, and Visakhapatnam. Stretches of Godavari and Mahanadi are also proposed to be declared as inland waterways. Honorable members, my government has made a serious attempt to promote public-private partnership as a strategy for building infrastructure such as roads, ports, airports, and power generation. As such a strategy brings in additional investment which adds to limited public sector resources. Further, private sector efficiency results in lower cost, quicker completion of projects, and better delivery of the services. Substantial improvements can be seen in this sector as a result of these efforts. Honorable members will be happy to learn that in 2006-2007, the rate of growth of the manufacturing sector output was estimated at close to 11%. The performance of the key sectors like the automotive, industry, textile, pharma, steel, petrochemicals, cement, and so on has been impressive. We have clearly succeeded in re-energizing the domestic enterprise. The National Strategy for Manufacturing prepared by the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council provides a basis for accelerated industrial and employment growth. An automotive mission plan 2006-2016 has been prepared to provide the framework for the growth of the auto sector in India. The industrial sector has also benefited from increased inflows of foreign direct investment. Here too, FDI inflows have exceeded US $10 billion this year and has also exceeded FII inflows for the first time ever. It's a matter of satisfaction that our textile industry has been able to generate considerable employment and promote exports and improve its performance in the post-multi-fiber agreement regime. A focused approach to helping weavers in place with an increase in the number of cluster development centers, more yarn depots, support to technology upgradation, health and life insurance program for weavers, and a new handloom mark for the branding the handloom products. Friends, my government has restructured the Kendra Khadi and Village Industries Commission. The Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Rural Industries has been set up at Wardha to further promote rural industries which provide gainful employment to a very large section of our rural population. The Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006 has become operational. This will facilitate the promotion, development and enhancement of competitiveness of these enterprises. My government is committed to providing a minimum social safety net for workers in unorganized sector, and a draft law for this purpose is under consideration. My government will launch a massive skill development program to improve the skill and capabilities of a workforce through a mission on the vocational education and other initiatives. This is essential if you have to take advantage of the demographic dividend that we are going to have through an increasingly youthful workforce. Friends, our information technology sector continues to develop and remain globally competitive. The year 2007 will be the year of broadband. We are committed to bridging the digital divide by providing broadband coverage throughout the country. My government is encouraging the growth of the electronic hardware industry and the semiconductor industry. My government will take forward the National Identity Card project under the National E-Governance Plan for nationwide rollout in a phased manner so as to ensure better delivery of services to our citizens. Friends, tourism has enormous potential and we are already seeing its benefits. In recent months, there has been an impressive growth in foreign tourist arrivals, foreign exchange earnings, and employment generation. However, given the potential of tourism and India's rich heritage and diversity, we can do much more to increase the number of domestic as well as foreign tourists. Apart from improving the quality of tourism infrastructure, my government is encouraging public-private partnership in tourism across the country. To sustain our efforts, dear members, in the advanced fields of modern science and technology, we must increase the number of scientists and improve the quality of Indian science. My government is deeply concerned about the inadequate enrollment of students in basic science, that Indian science is lagging behind other newly industrialized economies. India needs a new thrust in the fields of science and technology. There is also need to energize our university system and enable to respond to the pressures of the market so that it can retain and attract the talent. Honorable members, a vision for the development of an empowered science and technology base by 2015 has been prepared. Steps will be taken to attract talent, regenerate university research, enable women scientists to re-enter the careers in science, strengthen technology business, incubation process, promote excellence in research, engage private sector in R&D, create greater science awareness and a scientific temper among our people. My government intends to increase the financial allocation for science and technology from less than 1% of the GDP to 2% of GDP. Our scientists have distinguished themselves in the fields of nuclear energy, space, biotechnology, genetics, and pharma areas. This year has witnessed impressive achievements in our space program. The recent 9th consecutive successful launch of PSLV, placing 4 satellites precisely in the predetermined orbit, and the space capsule recovery experiment, as also the progress of being made in preparation for the Chandrayaan mission, testify to the well-deserved reputation for excellence that ISRO and our space program enjoy. The Department of Atomic Energy, which is engaged in harnessing the nuclear technology to produce safe, economic, and eco-friendly energy using indigenous resources, has brought on a stream the indigenously developed 540 megawatt units 3 and 4 at Tarapur. We are committed to the development of our indigenous 3-stage nuclear program. Honorable members, my government is paying special attention to the modernization of the police forces, security forces, and intelligence agencies. A focused and holistic attempt to deal with the challenges of internal security in the northeastern region, in Jammu and Kashmir, and in regions affected by Naxalite activities yielding dividends. My government recognizes the challenge posed by terrorism and extremism and has been resolute in dealing with it. While our security and intelligence agencies have successfully foiled many terrorist groups, there have been tragic, drastically cowardly acts of terrorism, as in Mumbai and Assam. Most recently, my government is dealing firmly with the challenge posed while ensuring law and order and internal security in the northeast, Jammu and Kashmir, and Naxalite-affected region. My government will remain focused on the overall social, economic, and cultural development of these parts of the country, aimed at ensuring the active participation of all sections of the society in the national mainstream. My government will continue to impart a healing touch both in Jammu and Kashmir and in the northeast while maintaining utmost vigil against terrorist and extremist forces. My government attaches the highest importance to ensuring that all agencies respect basic human rights even in the most trying circumstances. There's a growing public concern about urban crime and violence, especially involving children and women. My government is committed to making our police forces more sensitive to the concern and needs of our citizens and more efficient and humane in responding to them. Honorable members, my government is committed to judicial reforms aimed at speeding up the justice delivery system and ensuring greater efficiency, transparency, and integrity in our judicial system, especially where it impacts on the welfare of our citizens. A bill for setting up the National Judicial Council for greater accountability and transparency in the judiciary has already been tabled in Parliament. The Gramin Nyayalaya bill for setting up people-friendly local courts with the flexibility of procedure for speedier disposal of petty cases is on anvil. Honorable members, the defense of the country is an unshakable commitment of my government at a time when a new and unconventional threats to national security are increasingly visible. Even while the strategic environment continues to be fragile, the government shall maintain focus on strengthening the defense of the country. We shall provide our armed forces with the best possible means to do so. My government is investing in the modernization of our armed forces and of our indigenous defense industry to make them fully capable of dealing with existing and emerging challenges. Our armed forces have also been engaged in cooperative exercises with many partner countries, and other performance has invariably come in for praise. The nation is grateful to them for their contribution. The welfare of our ex-servicemen is a priority of my government. Honorable members, my government's foreign policy has been shaped by the desire to create an external environment conducive to peace and stability in the region, ensuring our accelerated economic development and the safeguarding of our national security. Honorable members, in pursuit of this enlightened national interest, my government has undertaken a comprehensive engagement with the world, with all major powers, with our extended neighborhood, and with our partners in the developing world and the non-aligned movement. Recently, honorable members, in February, we signed New India-Bhutan Friendship Treaty in place of the earlier one in 1949. The new treaty updates the legal basis of our bilateral relation to reflect the contemporary reality. It will enable us to further strengthen and enhance our relationship to a higher level to meet the aspiration of our two people. We have reiterated that our full support to the restoration of a multi-party democracy in Nepal and the success of the peace process. As a friend and neighbor, India is interested in a democratic, stable, and prosperous Bangladesh. We have conveyed at high political levels to Sri Lankan leaders that need for a negotiated political settlement to the ethnic issue that is acceptable to all sections of Sri Lankan society. It's a matter of satisfaction that this dialogue process with Pakistan is progressing steadily. The composite dialogue, the Joint Commission, and the anti-terrorism institutional mechanism have provided a structural framework within which all major issues are being discussed. We remain concerned over infiltration and cross-border terrorism, and the success of the dialogue process is predicated on Pakistan fulfilling its commitment not to permit any territory under its control to be used to support the terrorism in any manner. Honorable members, in April this year, India will host the 14th SAARC summit as the SAARC chair. India will work for ensuring that SAARC becomes a vehicle for peace and progress in our region. The people of South Asia have a shared heritage and a shared destiny. We are particularly happy that the Afghanistan will join as SAARC's 8th member at the forthcoming summit. The importance of India-Afghanistan relation was underlined at the Second Regional Economic Cooperation Conference on Afghanistan in November 2006, co-hosted by India and Afghanistan. Honorable members, the transformation in the India-US bilateral relationship has resulted in wide-ranging engagement across many fields, including defense and security issues, counterterrorism, science and technology, health, trade, space, energy, including nuclear energy, agriculture, maritime cooperation, and the environment. Members are aware of our effort to arrive at an agreement with the US on civil nuclear energy cooperation within the parameters laid out in the July 18, 2005 India-US joint statement and the March 2, 2006 separation plan. India shares a strategic partnership with the European Union, which covers a wide range of areas, including trade and investment, culture, science, and technology. Negotiations are to be launched on a broad-based India-EU trade and investment agreements. Honorable members, the recent landmark visit of President Putin as the chief guest to our Republic Day highlighted the broad-based cooperation that marks India's long-standing relationship with Russia. The development of the BrahMos missile through a joint venture between our countries demonstrate the mutual benefits of our cooperation. The agreements reached during the visit will significantly expand our cooperation in the fields of energy, high technology, defense, and space. The strategic partnership between India and Russia is poised to deepen even further. Honorable members, the visit of Chinese President Hu Jintao to India in November 2006 strengthened the process of sustained and comprehensive development of India-China relations. The two countries agreed on a 10-pronged strategy to add greater content to our strategic partnership and to develop an action-oriented agenda for the future. India's Look East policy has contributed to increasing engagement with ASEAN and our East Asian neighborhood. India's participation in the East Asian and India-ASEAN Summit has rejuvenated our ancient links with the region and strengthened the economic ties. Singapore, China, Japan, Korea, and other countries have shown great interest in the Nalanda project, which seeks to create an Asian center for inter-civilizational dialogue in India. India's relations with Japan have entered a new era with the launch of a global and strategic partnership last year. A special economic partnership initiative will promote investment, especially in infrastructure, power generation, and setting up of an industrial corridor. Negotiations for the comprehensive economic partnership agreement are underway. We look forward to the visit of Prime Minister Abe later this year. Honorable members, at the non-aligned summit last year, India worked with the other members to bring development to the center of the international agenda. My government is actively pursuing strengthened relations with the countries of the West Asia and the Persian Gulf region. We would like to see durable peace and stability in the region. We have called on all parties of West Asia to renounce the violence and seek a comprehensive solution through a peaceful negotiation, taking into account the legitimate interests of all concerned. My government has also reiterated its desire to see a stable, peaceful, prosperous, united, and democratic Iraq. The visits of India of the Emir of Kuwait and the King of Jordan, following that of His Majesty the King of Saudi Arabia last year, and the recent visit of the External Affairs Minister to Iran highlight the importance attached to our enduring interest in the region, vital for energy security and employment opportunities for Indians. India has also been working to further deepen and diversify its relation with countries in Africa and Latin America. India's relation with South Africa and Brazil received a flip last year. The historic India-Brazil-South Africa summit brought together the largest democracies of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, revitalizing our commitment to South-South cooperation. The Pan-African e-network, which is being implemented with our support, has provided a unique platform to promote high-tech collaboration between Africa and India. Honorable members, my government has paid special attention to the protection and welfare of overseas Indian workers, especially those in West Asia and the Gulf. We admire their spirit of enterprise and would like to see them more actively engaged in India's development. The Overseas Citizens of India card scheme has addressed a long-standing demand of persons of Indian origin. We are now working on a proposal to establish a PIO university in India. My government will take steps to encourage a reverse brain drain so that some of the brightest and talented children of India return to their motherland. Honorable members, India has welcomed the resumption of negotiation across all areas of Doha round in the World Trade Organization WTO with a view to reaching an early positive conclusion. In order to break the impasse, developed countries must make meaningful efforts to reduce the large trade distorting subsidies provided to their agriculture sector. At the same time, the role of agriculture as a major source of livelihood in developing countries makes it imperative that governments are enabled to mitigate risk associated with price declines, price volatility, and the predatory competition facing their low-income and vulnerable farmers through appropriate policy and flexibilities. Equally important is the increased market access for product and services of export interest to developing countries to ensure that the Doha round is indeed a development round. Friends, honorable members, our country is in the threshold of a new era of development. The sense of confidence of our working people, our professionals and entrepreneurs, and their dynamism give us reason to be hopeful. However, my government recognizes that for development to be meaningful, it must be inclusive. To this end, it is necessary to revitalize our rural economy and address issues of widening rural-urban disparities. The reform of government, making it more transparent and responsive, and the elimination of a cancer of corruption are necessary elements of any strategy of inclusive growth. The Right to Information Act is one means of empowering our citizens. The more powerful instrument is in their hands is their right to have their voice heard and their grievances redressed in these august premises of our Parliament. Eternal vigilance, as it has been said, is the price of democracy. You, honorable members, are here as a representative of our people. It is incumbent upon you to ensure through these great institutions of our democracy that the people of our country are the recipients of better governance. I hope you will put to good use the power at your disposal in the interest of our people and our nation. I convey my best wishes for the purposeful conduct of the proceedings of Parliament this year. Jai Hind. May God bless you with office.
महामहिम, आपने यहाँ अभी एक साथ सम्मिलित दोनों सदनों में अभिभाषण किया है। आपकी अनुमति से मैं अभिभाषण के हिंदी पाठ के आरंभ तथा अंत के अंश पढ़ता हूँ। कृपया शेष पढ़ा हुआ मान लिया जाए। माननीय सदस्यगण, हमारे देश के लिए अत्यंत उल्लेखनीय वर्ष है। हम अपनी स्वतंत्रता की 60वीं वर्षगांठ मना रहे हैं। इस वर्ष हम भारत की आज़ादी की पहली लड़ाई की 150वीं वर्ष सालगिरह और सत्याग्रह शताब्दी भी मना रहे हैं। एक सशक्त, आधुनिक, सर्वसमावेशी, पंथ निरपेक्ष और गतिशील भारत बनाने की हमारी प्रतिबद्धता को दोहराने के ये अवसर है। पहले मैं समझौता एक्सप्रेस पर कार्यतापूर्ण और संवेदनहीन हमले के शिकार निर्दोष व्यक्तियों के प्रति अपने हार्दिक संवेदना प्रकट करता हूँ। हम इन मासूमों के परिवारों की पीड़ा से आहत हैं। हम भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच संबंधों को सुधारने के हमारे प्रयास पर इस त्रासदीपूर्ण घटना का प्रभाव पड़ने नहीं देना चाहिए। माननीय सदस्य, हमारा देश विकास के एक नए युग की दहलीज पर खड़ा है। हमारे कामगार लोगों, हमारे व्यवसायियों और उद्यमियों में आत्मविश्वास की भावना और उनकी गतिशीलता हमें आश्वान्वित करती है। तथापि मेरी सरकार मानती है कि विकास तभी सार्थक होगा जब ये सर्व समावेशी होगा। इसके लिए आवश्यक है कि हम अपनी ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था में नवीन ऊर्जा का संचार करें और गांवों तथा शहरों के बीच बढ़ती असमानताओं को दूर करें। सरकार में सुधार, इसे अधिक पारदर्शी और उत्तरकारी बनाना तथा भ्रष्टाचार के कैंसर का उन्मूलन समग्र विकास की किसी भी नीति के अनिवार्य तत्व है। सूचना का अधिकार अधिनियम हमारे नागरिकों को सशक्त बनाने का एक साधन है। एक और अधिक शक्तिशाली अस्त्र जो उनके हाथों में है और वह और हमारी गर्माई संसद में अपनी आवाज़ उठाने और शिकायतों का समाधान पाने का अधिकार। जैसा कि कहा जाता है कि सतत जागरूकता के जरिए ही लोकतंत्र बहाल रखा जा सकता है। माननीय सदस्यों, आप यहाँ हमारी जनता के प्रतिनिधि हैं। आपका ये दायित्व हो जाता है कि आप हमारे लोकतंत्र की महान संस्थाओं की मार्फत ये सुनिश्चित करें कि हमारे देश के लोगों को बेहतर प्रशासन मिले। मुझे आशा है कि आपको जो अधिकार मिले हैं आप उनका इस्तेमाल हमारी जनता और हमारे राष्ट्र के हित में करेंगे। इस वर्ष संसद की कार्रवाई के सार्थक संचालन के लिए मेरी हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। जय हिंद।
अब से कुछ ही देर पहले महामहिम राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर A.P.J. अब्दुल कलाम ने संसद भवन के केंद्रीय कक्ष में संसद के दोनों सदनों को संबोधित किया और ऐसा सिर्फ दो मामलों में होता है, एक तो नई लोकसभा के गठन के बाद संसद का पहला सत्र हो या फिर नए वर्ष का पहला सत्र। इन दोनों सत्र के आरंभ होते ही सबसे पहले महामहिम राष्ट्रपति महोदय का संबोधन होता है और इस समय राष्ट्रपति महोदय अब संसद भवन के द्वार संख्या 5 की ओर बढ़ते हुए और उनके साथ हैं उपराष्ट्रपति भैरों सिंह शेखावत, प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह, संसदीय कार्य मंत्री प्रिय रंजन दास मुंशी, लोकसभा अध्यक्ष सोमनाथ चटर्जी, लोकसभा और राज्यसभा के महासचिव। और ये एक ऐसा अवसर जो भारतीय प्रजातंत्र में अपना विशेष महत्व रखता है। केंद्रीय कक्ष से द्वार संख्या 5 तक लाल कालीन और कुछ ही देर बाद महामहिम राष्ट्रपति महोदय अपने अंगरक्षकों के साथ राष्ट्रपति भवन की ओर प्रस्थान करेंगे और यह है राष्ट्रपति के अंगरक्षक कर्नल अली आदिल महमूद की कमान में और लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल संजय भाटिया सेकंड इन कमान है। और ये वो अंगरक्षक जो राष्ट्रपति महोदय को लेकर राष्ट्रपति भवन की ओर प्रस्थान करेंगे। और ये सत्र जो आज आरंभ हो रहा है, इसी सत्र में रेल बजट और आम बजट भी प्रस्तुत किया जाएगा इसी महीने, जिसकी गहमा गहमी अब शुरू हो चुकी है। और यह है संसद भवन का द्वार नंबर 5। राष्ट्रपति महोदय जिन्होंने कुछ ही देर पहले केंद्रीय कक्ष में दोनों सदनों को संबोधित किया।
राष्ट्रीय सलाद मध्य
और अब विदा लेते हुए राष्ट्रपति महोदय अभिवादन स्वीकार करते हुए और अब अपने अंगरक्षकों के साथ राष्ट्रपति भवन की ओर रवाना होते हुए महामहिम राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर A.P.J. अब्दुल कलाम। और यह है वो घुड़सवार अंगरक्षक जिनके साथ अब राष्ट्रपति महोदय प्रस्थान करते हुए और धीरे धीरे ये काफिला अब आगे बढ़ता हुआ और ये बताते हुए कि अब से कुछ ही देर पहले राष्ट्रपति महोदय ने संसद के केंद्रीय कक्ष में दोनों सदनों को संबोधित किया। मैं प्रदीप शर्मा आपसे विदा लेता हूं, लेकिन आप जुड़े रहिए दूरदर्शन के साथ। नमस्कार।